Okay, welcome to Video 8. How do we evaluate the potential of a deal that we see? Now remember, deals are going to come to you. All you need to do is announce to the accountants and the business brokers, the business coaches, that you're interested in buying a distressed business, and the phone will ring. Now, what do you do next? This is exactly what we're going to cover at our mastermind meetings 3 times a year in Las Vegas. How do we find the deals, finance them, fix the company, and then flip it? And of course, we'll give you all the manuals you need to be able to get a real firm grasp on what's going on through, there's actually 48 different chapters in 3 different manuals. And the first ones will be on finding and financing the deal. But let's talk about this meeting. You're going to walk into a meeting, and it's going to be uncomfortable because the owners are in trouble. Sometimes they'll just be grateful that somebody's there to talk to them that is helpful, but it's going to be an uncomfortable thing, and they're going to talk about the business and all its potential, but I don't want you to lose your mind. Always be willing to walk away from every deal. We look at 100 and think we're going to get one. Remember, Gordon Gekko said that. I look at 100 deals and 99 are dogs. Well, if we know that up front, we know that over a 5-year deal flow, we'll want 1,000 leads. We'll want to look at 1,000 different opportunities. 100 of them will probably garner or justify an actual meeting, but we only think 10 are actually going to become deals that we would do. Of course, we like those deals because even on the worst ones, in our own experience, we're looking at 250, 750,000 in improved, increased equity over a 1 or 2 year period. So we like these deals. Now, here's the primary questions that you're going to ask yourself when you go into a business. Do they have sales? We're going to get a lot of inquiries from people that have an idea. They're doing $3,000, $5,000, $12,000 a month in revenue, and they think if I could just franchise this, I'd get rich. Well, how can you franchise a business doing $12,000 a month in sales? You can't make money at your business, so you think you'll make money selling a dumb idea to someone else? Well, those will be the kind of things you hear. And of course, you're always polite. You're building your database of people you know. The guy with the bad idea may become one of your managers in the future. Now, the next question. Which one of the 5 mistakes have they made? And you want to, that's why you always want to be aware of the mistakes. And as you're asking questions, can I name the error that this business owner has made? The next thing you're going to ask is, do they have underutilized assets? And this is something I'm looking for here, because are there people here that I can reallocate, assets I can reallocate, expenses that I can get rid of? And the first thing, of course, is I want to look at the customer base. Could these customers be sold more services? Could they be sold other services with joint venture partners? Second thing, employees. Do I have employees that are not living up to their potential? They're not delivering the full value. Do they have distribution rights to a certain desirable product? They may have the exclusive distribution rights and they're not selling enough of the product. Maybe that alone makes the company worth an acquisition, because then I can turn right around and sell those distribution rights to a competitor. Do they have a unique product that is under marketed? Maybe they're doing something so clever that everybody should know about this, but they simply don't know how to get the word out. Or do they have a license that's of value to someone else? And that's a situation in a recent acquisition that I'm working on, the healthcare company. They have federal licenses and government licenses in the state of Arizona to deliver certain particular types of service. I don't particularly want to do those types of medical services. So that license, there's a 5-year waiting period to get it. I can transfer that license. It has value, and I can sell it to someone else. So the second thing I want to ask, so the second series of questions I want to ask is, how bad is the problem? Is the owner just tired and they want to go home? Now, if you're in a situation like this, you're not going to be able to get the business for nothing, and sometimes that's okay. Not every deal is a distressed company deal. Sometimes it's worth looking at really successful, going profitable companies. But for today, let's just look at failing companies. So is the owner just tired and wants to go home? If they do, you're not going to get the company for nothing, but it might be a great pickup anyway. Has there been a death or a divorce? A lot of times this forces the sale, and the company is now sliding down in gross revenue each month. And so they know something's got to be done right away. Do they have pending lawsuits? Now, if you find this out, you've got to be able to get out of the situation immediately if the pending lawsuit has dramatic impact. And that's something that I'm going to have to leave at this moment. You're going to have to make the decision on that one. If it's a little lawsuit that might turn out to be 5 or 10 or 20,000, maybe you use that as a leverage point and go ahead with the company. But if it has big potential, a class action lawsuit, for example, it might be well worth walking away or just taking 49% of the assets. Remember, if you take less than 50%, you're outside of the bulk transfer laws. And of course, you got to check with your lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, but you might take just some of the assets on the bottom half of the percentages and use those to spin out a new company. Now, the next question is their debt load unsustainable? And can you do anything about it? And when I bought a company a long time ago that had 145,000 of debt load, and the company was going to go under, and I was able to negotiate it down to 20 cents on the dollar. So because the company was going under anyway. So I bought the company, negotiated the debt to 20 cents on the dollar, and now it became a sustainable debt. It was all trade debt, so it was easier to do. Does the company owe back taxes? And if you're in a situation like this can work out to your favor. If they're in a lot of trouble, they're under liens, the government's closing down their accounts, if they're in some sort of a legal bind with the government agency, then they're desperate to get somebody to come in and at least save something or salvage something. Had they lost a distribution channel or a key employee, that can really have an impact on the profitability. Have new competitors stepped into the market? You must ask these questions and look at them in the eye, because you have that one moment of truth. When you ask somebody a tough question, watch their face, because if they flinch, then you know that really hit home, and you want to then take everything they say with a grain of salt and ask the question 2 more times in different ways so that you can really get an understanding of what those potential problems are. And in some cases, the market's just changed, and future sales are not going to come about. I mean, let me give you an example. Wouldn't you have hated to have been in the student loan business here a couple of years ago when, with the stroke of a pen, Obama wiped the entire industry off the map? If you had bought a student loan business 2 months before they happened, you would have been totally wiped out. So the next question you want to ask is, how and who would run this business if we brought it in? Now notice, we haven't talked money at all with the client, because we're trying to figure out if we want the company first. So how many hours will this take in my time? If it looks like I'm going to be able to manage this in 2 hours a day, instruct my staff on what to do, then that's very positive. If it's going to take 60 hours of my time to get in and solve a nightmare, then I've got to get the nightmare over quick, or I don't want to get in. Do I like the business, and do I understand it? I think that's real important. Does it require a certain skill set or a license or a professional degree that I don't have? Can I, or do I have a manager lined up already to do this? Remember, that's one of the reasons we always run our ad campaigns looking for our next great managers, joint ventures, and employees, because I want these people in the queue. Let them know when I find a deal, I'm going to call you and we're going to get together. And what will the capital cost be to save this firm? It's almost always impossible to walk in a firm with zero money going in with you. Even when the firms are given to us, which happens on occasion because they're in a lot of trouble, they're about to close, we still, even with everything we do, we might need $20,000, $50,000, $75,000 to get through the initial negative cash flow while we're turning it around. Now, that money's easily found. We're going to talk about that in future videos and at our conferences in Las Vegas. And the most important thing of all, though, is do I have people lined up who will cover me for not just capital needs but management leads? Have I done that work first? And when we meet, we'll talk about these details, and I will give this to you in an operations manual so you know what to do. But you're going to be actually going through the entire business cycle, asking a series of questions about each one of the steps. You're going to drill down to those financials, not just the financial results, but you want to look at transactions and make sure all these transactions tie out to the bank account. It's real important to look at specific transactions, especially if they're trying to get you to buy a company on a multiple of owner cash flow, 3 times OCF, and a lot of times they're going to book things on the financials that as owner cash flow, and it's not. We had a firm call us about 8 months ago, and they wanted to capitalize their contract sales staff for the last 3 years and put it as a capital asset. And I said, you paid these guys a paycheck. How can you recalculate or reevaluate the money that you spent? And you know the idea. You can see exactly where that was going. So the other thing you want to do is look in detail at the top 20% of the customers, and maybe only go out and see 5 or 10, but go ask them, why are we a customer? What else could we be doing? How do you like us? Where do we fail you? What could we do more of? And then also call the bottom 20%, the people that ask for refunds, or the people that bought one time and never came back. Find out why they dumped you, because you're going to learn so much that you'll never get in those meetings. Now, once you've got all that together, then you can talk money. So make sure the company is a good fit before you start talking about the purchase price. Let the seller think you're going along with their valuation as you go out and do all of your evaluations. And so the reason this is so important is because they're going to be on your side. They're going to be helping you learn information about the business. And the guy says, well, I want $500,000 for my company. I know it's going to close in 3 days if I don't get $500,000, but okay, let's agree we're going to pay $500,000. Now let me go in and do some research to make sure it's that's sustainable. And then once you have everything that you need to know about a business on paper, you can then turn around and make an intelligent offer to the business. Now remember, terms and conditions are more important than price. And this is, of course, something we'll talk about in our conferences in Las Vegas at the negotiation portion. But the seller thinks in terms of price. What's the total dollar I got in my business? And you can often agree to that total dollar, but you get to set the terms. And when you set the terms, you control the negotiations. Let them set the price, but you set the terms to get to that price. And remember, most deals are not paid in cash up front, so the terms can be negotiated to your favor. The closer you are to this company going over the cliff, the lower the price is going to be. Now, when you start this, you're going to be a novice, and you're going to have to walk away from deals that make you nervous because you don't have the gravitas to pull them off. But a year from now, you're going to be a kung fu lord. Remember, all it takes to command a new market is desire, guidance, which means training and help from other people, and experience. And a year from today, you'll have all of those by joining us at the Find, Fix, and Flip. Now, your next video will be video 9, the last in the series, and this one will be focused on fixing the company and then deciding, do we flip it or keep it? This is Casey Truby will keep that cash register ringing.